just getting some details sorted out behind the scenes before we get going. I just want to update the notes on the video actually. So I'm going to edit the live stream details while we're sat here on the ground before we actually get going. There now. Apologies for the pause. I just realised I'd missed something out along the way. So the aircraft we've got in front of us on the ground is the NAMC YS-12. So NAMC stands for Nihon Aircraft Manufacturing Company, and it was a government-backed consortium that built the aircraft. And we're going to have a look around it with the drone camera first. So it's available. It's the latest local legend that's been released in Flight Simulator 2024. It's developed by Inibuilds, as far as I'm aware, and then obviously assisted by a Sobo to get it into the simulator. So I thought we might have a look around it first, and then we'll take it for a flight. So I'm guessing until PMDG released the DC-6, this is the closest to that kind of aeroplane that we're going to get in the simulator for a while. Obviously it's not as big and heavy as the DC-6, but that's no bad thing. Let me just check the volume levels as well before we get going too long. So I've got Say Intentions running in the background, by the way. We're at Kobe, and if we have a look around, you'll see there's various other aircraft around manoeuvring and doing things around us. So we'll try to ignore them. So, as I said, this aircraft was developed by a consortium, government-led and government-funded. And it was actually a colossal financial failure. But it's one of the few modern, or I say modern, at the time in the 1950s and 60s, it was one of the only completely Japanese aviation development projects of this kind of scale. It's really nicely built though, isn't it? So just having a look around the undercarriage. See how they've modelled everything. So to get the airplane up and running, which I'll go over in a few minutes, I'm going to be following my own functional procedure that I've written up, because I went and looked through the checklist within the airplane, and there's kind of bits and pieces missing, and there's bits and pieces in the wrong order, or bits that aren't very clear. So this will serve hopefully as a bit of a beginner's guide to starting the airplane up from cold and dark as well for everybody, because I've run through it a couple of times and pretty much got it nailed how to do everything. So the detail in this is really good, isn't it? That's interesting. So moving the drone camera around is operating the elevators. That looks like a bug. That's quite a good one. So as you can see, it's got covers over the propellers, and before we started the video, I went and extended the steps so we can go and have a look around inside as well. So the cabin's all nicely modelled. We zoom down to the far end. various switchgear, and the toilet is actually modelled from the drone camera. I don't think I can operate the door, but we can go through the wall with the drone camera. So yeah, I know some people seem really fascinated with that kind of thing being modelled. I can't see the point of it myself, but there you go. So as you can see, the various, let me get this in the shot, so you can see the switches and dials and everything on the roof are really nicely done. And if we come down into the cockpit's really nicely done as well. So it's kind of what you come to expect from Inibuilds, really. It looks the part, it all works. You do get options within the tablet to swap out. This is the most basic or non-avionics kit that you can choose. You can have the working title GNS, or sorry, Garmin 430. You can also, yeah, GNS 430. You can also have the GTN as well up here if you want. So the TDS, GTN XI, things like that, and the PMS GTN 750. So yeah, there's lots and lots of functionality in it. So let's go out through the window, put the drone camera to one side, and we'll have to go back to the walk around mode to get rid of the covers, so we'll just do that in a moment. So if I put my Xbox controller to one side, so Shift and X will put us in the cockpit, Shift and C will put us back in the walk around. You'll notice as soon as you go to walk around mode, the door closes itself. I'm not quite sure why that is. But we can go and wander around and uncover some of these things and go and have a close look now at these propellers. It's quite interesting, isn't it, the way it's arranged. So engines are high above the wing, giving them the clearance. So I guess so the aircraft can sit lower on the undercarriage. Okay, so Shift and, oh sorry, no, Shift and X, Shift and C, isn't it? Sorry, we're in walk around mode. So this will put us inside the cockpit. So you can see it takes a second to load. I've not downloaded the aircraft, I'm streaming off the internet. So in common with lots of airplanes in the sim, when you do that, that can happen. Okay, so I'm going to work through the functional procedure. I have linked it in the notes of the video. If you can't see that link, if you just press F5 in your browser, because I updated it after I started broadcasting, you'll see the link. I'll just go and quickly load it to show you. So if I go to drive.google, and for some reason Microsoft Edge no longer remembers my login to anything. It's very, very bizarre. So Nihon Aircraft Manufacturing Company, there it is. So this is the procedure I'm going to run through. It runs to about 10 pages. So we've got some stuff about the views, and then the walk around, and then we go into the usual thing I do in the functional procedures that I make, running around the aircraft doing stuff to get it ready for flight. Okay, so we're going to work through that together and hopefully show you in a nice, simple, straightforward manner how to get the airplane ready. So first things first, we're going to go over to the tablet just by panning with our controller. Door is already shut when we went to the walk around mode, so we just need the ground power unit connected to the aeroplane. If you go and look outside now, you will see we have a ground power unit connected. Okay, so then Shift and 5 takes us overhead, and we can go and turn the batteries on and turn the external power on. And then further overhead we can go and turn on the radio power feed, master switches, and the radio cooling fan. And then we can go and turn on the seatbelt and no smoking signs, and further down the panel we can go and turn the nav lights on. So we're going to see if we can see those nav lights lit up. Not in this bright sunshine, we can't. Okay. Where do we get to? Nav lights. So then we can jump back across a bit further, and we can go and put the boost pumps on for the fuel control system, and we can go and then put the anti-collision lights on, which doubles up as the beacon light as well. So this is going to tell anybody outside we're about to start the engines, basically. So how do we go about starting the engines? Down on the pedestal, the right-hand two levers are the fuel control levers. So we'll do the right engine first. You'll see it snaps into place when you go from off to on. So we do that, and then we go back overhead, so Shift and 4 brings us overhead, and there's this bank of switches here. We're going to go and put the starter master switch to start. We're going to put the engine select to engine number 2, and then we're going to hold the starter button on for a couple of seconds, and you'll see the light comes on. Okay, so then Shift and Space will bring us back into the cockpit so we can see this happening. And you'll see the RPM coming up. If we go and look outside, you'll see the engine spinning up. When this gets to about 7,000, between 6,000 and 7,000 RPM, so it's doing it now, you will see this plunger will come back out of its own accord. There it goes, and then we can take this back to safe, take this back to off, and then we can do exactly the same for the left engine. So we'll go and move the fuel control through to on, then overhead, go back to start, engine number 1, and then hold in the button. And then if we were to go and look at the instruments, you'll see RPM is coming up. You see the other engine has already stabilized. So if we go overhead and have a look, you saw this come back out on its own, start master can come off, engine select can go back into the middle, and then we're going to go and Shift and 2. We can advance both of these all the way forward. You don't have to actually until you're getting ready to fly really, but we can move those out of the on position to the forward position. And then Shift and 5 takes us overhead, go and put the generators on, and then Shift and 7 takes us to the other side. We can put the inverters on and the alternators. There we go. And then back on the other side we can go and turn off the external power, and then back in the tablet we can disconnect the ground power unit from the aeroplane, and then we got some bits and pieces to do, like calibrating the altimeter, so I just press comma to shortcut that. And then if we have a navigation system we could program into it. I thought we might just use LittleNavMap and do some really basic navigation without too much to go by, which might make it a bit more fun. And we can see the comm radios and nav radios are down here. So we can turn the nav radios on. Comm radio already appears to be on. So should we try that out and call ground? So 122075, it should have tuned itself in. There we go. So Say Intentions has that nice trick where when you click on frequencies, it will tune them in for you. So just by clicking on that, we managed to tune in the comm radio. Should we try keying it?
Cobra Ground, good morning.
Oh, we can hear them.
All Nippon 7 Papa Foxtrot, request IMR clear destination Osaka, information lever on board.
We know that works now. We'll pull ourselves back on the radio check channel just to cut out any extraneous noise while we get the rest of our work done. So where is the wind coming from today? From the southwest 4 knots, so we're expecting runway 27 when we take off. Okay, so let's go and move our heading bug to 270 degrees. Okay, so Down here on the pedestal, you can see we can move the seats, by the way. I keep doing it by accident. You've got the fuel trim over here. Let me see if I can zoom in on it for you. And you can see you've got increase and decrease, so you can make it a richer mixture, basically, ready for takeoff. And then overhead, we could go and put any heating on that we want. So we can go for pitot and static heat. We won't do that until we go out to the runway, to be honest. In fact, I might have I'm just having a look. So you got... Oh, here we go, yeah, so the window heats. So you could put the window heating on if you wanted to. I don't think we're going to need it. So, Shift and 4 brings us down. We can go and put the taxi lights on. So we've got the runway lights here, sorry, the landing lights here as well. You notice you can extend them as well as switch them on. Okay, so we are going to get ready to taxi. Should we turn head tracking on? Looks like it's working okay. Let's tune back into ground at Kobe. And we are operating as Japan Air 073 today as far as say intentions is concerned. So we are wanting to taxi to runway 27, aren't we? So should we go and open up Navigraph as well, because then we get nice charts of the airport layout, hopefully, as well. So if I unload whatever plan we have got, come in here, copy the flight plan into the clipboard from LittleNavMap, and then click the pencil and paste it and get rid of that speed because it's nonsense, and say done. And that will give us our basic route from Kobe via VORs and a little bit of navigating along the way. So we wanted to see the airport, didn't we? So it's probably going to be an interesting route, interesting signing of the taxiways. Anyway, should we pull the map up just so we can see it as we talk to them? Kobe ground, Japan Air 073 requesting taxi to runway 27.
Japan Air 073, runway 27, taxi via Papa Tango 6.
Papa Tango 6. Taxi runway 27 via Papa Tango 6, Japan Air 073. So we're just going to do a turnabout here. We're not going to do a proper pushback, because I want to show you how good the turning circle is. And it's really good. So we'll also go and put the flaps to takeoff position. You can see them here. So the gauge kind of goes backwards and then kicks into position of where it should be. So 15 degrees for takeoff, which is correct. So we need to taxi out to Papa. If we look on the diagram, it's directly across from us, and then we go left. So while we are having a play around, let's go and have a look also at our first VOR, which is 11125, which is the Kobe VOR.
574, request IFR clearance.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Clear to Incheon via the KCE 6 6 departure, departure runway 27, initial climb 4000, departure on 120.85, squawk 2462, Lufthansa 574.
This is interesting, isn't it? So our first leg we wanting to fly is 78 degrees out of the VOR. Let me just get us going in roughly the right direction along the taxiway while we're doing this. So this is like an HSI. It's kind of a mechanical cousin of a modern HSI. So we'll be able to use that once we get up and running. Okay. Looks ever so nice, doesn't it? So I've not played around with many of the things in the cockpit yet, but you can see there's lots of bits and pieces that work. I'm guessing...
Ryanair 526, ready to copy, Alpha clearance to Romeo Juliet Foxtrot with information Romeo. Ryanair 526, ready to copy, Alpha clearance to Romeo Juliet Foxtrot with information Romeo.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute.
Japan Air 073, contact tower on 118.5, safe flight.
Contacting tower 118.75, Japan Air 073. Good day. So I'll just put it around the corner and then we'll change frequencies. This is the age-old problem of having one pilot instead of two. So I'm trying to taxi and I don't really have capacity to fiddle with the radios until I hold short here. Okay, tower 118.75. Kobe Tower, Japan Air 073, holding short runway 27 for departure VFR. They hear us. Let's check the frequencies. 118.75. 118.75. Tower, Japan Air 073, holding short runway 27 for VFR departure. While we're waiting for them, let's go and turn the lights on. Just to show you that while we're waiting, we've now got the lights hanging out at the bottom of the wings, which isn't such a bad idea given the weather today. Why are Tower not responding to us? Tower, Japan Air 073, holding short, runway 27. Tower, Japan Air 073, radio check please. Something's going wrong, isn't it? Oh, it's saying nobody's listening 11875. Let's go and double check the frequencies then. Maybe that's a mistake in the system. So if we go into airport and show information for Kobe, what does the simulator have for it? Tower 118500, not 750. Oh, that makes all the difference, and that's why you double check things. Tower, Japan Air 073, holding short runway 27 for VFR departure.
Japan Bel Air 73, Kobe Tower, runway 27, wind 230 at 5, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 27, Japan Air 073. So we get lined up, and then we have a couple of bits of extra things to do in the cockpit, which I will show you once we're lined up. Turn head tracking off for a moment. So shift and 2 brings us down. We're going to move the control through to flight now, and you can hear the engines spooling up as we do that. And then overhead we're going to go and put the pitot heat on. So we've got window heats here, we've got the pitot and static heat here. Flaps are already at 15 degrees. We've done the landing lights, so we're ready to go basically.
Through to Tokyo Hanada.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Kobe Tower, 4445, request IFR.
Okay, so we're going to start to rotate at about 90 knots.
Information, Bravo.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
And I guess everybody wants to see the animations. Okay, let's let the nose down and let some speed build before we start winding the flaps in. So that's flaps back to 10 degrees. Speed's coming up through 150. Let's pull the power back. So we're VFR. Power back to 50%. Let's stay below the cloud base and go and have a look at the city. So this is Kobe. I've picked a day for it, haven't I? Hopefully the weather won't be this bad all the way along the coast. Look at the quality of the photogrammetry. That's crazy. That's utter madness, isn't it? Very cool. So notice the cockpit hasn't fully loaded back in. This seems to be an issue at the moment with, I'm not sure with the simulator or this plane in particular, it sometimes lags. Notice there's no quadrant showing up. I'm not sure how you can trigger it to make it render it. But we have no dials until it wakes back up, basically. See what I mean? Let's try some tricks. Can we force it to load? Has anyone else seen this happen recently? It's a good one, isn't it? So we'll ignore that for a bit. It will load eventually, it just takes its time. I'm not sure what triggers that to happen. It's certainly not going to be a RAM issue because I've got oodles of RAM. It's come back now, look. Heading out towards the sunshine. Doing about 200 knots. So,
Japan Air 073, you're leaving my airspace. Squawk VFR, frequency change approved.
Squawk VFR, frequency changed approved. Japan Air 073, good day. So we can go to Common Traffic Advisory frequency, or we can go to center and request flight following. So where is the transponder is the next question. I haven't actually looked for it. Before we call center, I'll show you how the autopilot works so we can then have a look around the cockpit for things. So what we can do, we'll get the heading bug going the direction we're going. Of course it's the opposite direction, but we can spin it, look. So, and then we can say heading mode and altitude hold mode. And that will just hold us flying in that direction at that speed, or in that altitude. So you can see it zeroed out the climb rate. So very quickly then, there's the COM2, there it is. It's over here, look. So we want to go and call center. Center, Japan Air 073, requesting flight following.
Japan Air 073, squawk 2656 and ident.
Oh no, that's the ADF. That's not the transponder. Okay, where's the transponder? I'm being a bit silly. Have we got one back here somewhere? Yes, there it is. 2656. And turn it on. Always helps if you switch these things on. And we're about to overfly an airfield, so I'm going to cancel the autopilot. This should pick us up already.
Japan Air 073, radar contact over Osaka at 1200 feet, Osaka QNH 30.06.
Copy weather, Japan Air 073, thank you. So we're just getting out of the way of the glide path and we'll have a look at the city. So we've flown over towards Osaka. Let's have a look on the map, see where we are.
Fukuoka Control, China Southern 394, flight level 330.
So this is one of the first places I wanted to look around along the way.
Radar contact.
So if we do a left orbit over the city, then we can look out the passenger window.
Tokyo Info, New Sky 902, flight level 200. New Sky 902, radar contact.
They really have gone to town, haven't they, with the detail. Let's scoot forwards into the window so we can see it easily. That's impressive, isn't it?
Japan Air 073, contact Kansai radar on 125.5.
Contacting Kansai radar 125.5, Japan Air 073. Kansai radar, Japan Air 073 with you at 1400 feet.
Japan Air 73, Kansai radar. Good morning, Osaka QNH 30.06.
Canals are interesting, aren't they? Look, with these sudden junctions and turns. All the bridges.
Air PH80 contact Kansai Tower on 118.05.
Switching to Kansai Tower on 118.05 and Air PH80.
Make sure we're going roughly in the right direction. We are. So we want to be tracking about 45 degrees for the next little while as we pick our way along, sightseeing. So there is a directional gyro down here. We're not going to worry too much about tracking VOR signals for the moment because we kind of know roughly where we're going. Should we scoot across the cockpit and look at this side? Just the level of detail is just off the chart, isn't it?
Japan Air 2344. Direct CRES, cleared for the RNAV runway 32 right approach. Descend and maintain altitude 3500 until established.
Down to 3500, cleared for the RNAV 32 right approach, Japan Air 2344.
So, the live stream is asking, is the plane worth it? Absolutely. It's fantastic. It's quite straightforward to operate, so once you get the thing started up...
Japan AR-73, Kansai radar. I need to amend your flight. Can you tell me your destination?
Final destination is Tokyo, Japan Air 073.
Over to Osaka Tower on 118.1, Japan Air 2344.
Japan Air 073, roger. Destination Tokyo.
So we're holding about 45 degrees, which is what we need to be doing. Let's have a look at our chart. So we're flying along out towards Kyoto, and then we'll go cross country over towards Nagoya, and then across country again over towards Shizuoka, and then across country again towards Mount Fuji. So we're kind of jumping between cities along the way, just to do a bit of sightseeing and see the countryside and the cities.
China Southern 3904, contact Bayan Tower on 118.8.
118.8 for China Southern 3904.
Yeah, it's just done that same trick again. Look, it delayed loading the insides of the aeroplane. That must be a glitch, I would have thought. I've seen it before. Particular aeroplanes seem to be afflicted by it. It flies really nicely. So just trundling along 50% power, doing 195 knots in level flight, it's quite happily doing that. I mean, we could lift the power up. Let's have a look at the needles. So everything's in the green, isn't it? Should we open it up a bit, go a bit faster? Okay, so this is Kyoto, so we'll do an orbit here as well. I'll scoot us forward in our seat slightly and off to one side so we can look out the window. Sit up a little bit as well, so we get more of a downward view. It's the bits of detail, like this tower next to the railway station here, look. It's very impressive. And the platforms. The resolution of the photogrammetry must have been extremely high. So Peter's asking, am I hand flying so far? Yes, I am. The autopilot's quite rudimentary, but you'd expect that. This is a 1960s aeroplane. Or 1950s aeroplane, I should say. So you've got the basic modes here. There's no pre-selector for the altitude, so you're literally you can track a VOR signal. If you've got a retrofitted radio system, so you can choose what hardware you have in here. So you can say you can go for a working title 430 or a TDS 650, or this is the classic option. Excuse me. Okay, so we're coming out of the hills the other side of Osaka. Kyoto, sorry. On our way over to Nagoya now. So we want to be flying about 83 degrees or so. So I'll show you how that works with the autopilot. If I turn head tracking off for a moment. So if you look down here, we've got the heading bug, and so we set it to say 80 degrees. And we say we want heading mode and altitude hold mode, and jobs are good. And the aeroplane will do that for us. So let's have a play with this VOR that we are heading towards. So 11420. So let's go and have a look here. 11420. If we look over here, we will see, if we dial in the angle we need to fly, 82 degrees we need.
On 119.175.
Contacting center at departure 119.175, Japan Air 073, good day. Center at departure, Japan Air 073 with you at 2,000 feet.
Japan Air 73, center departure, Moshi Moshi Moriyama, QNH 30.06.
So this is interesting that we've got a radio altimeter by the look of it,
Contact Tokyo Control 119.3,
but it shows as a ribbon.
1 kilo heavy, bye bye.
So as we're going over features on the ground, it's jumping up and down.
91 kilo. Contact Tokyo Control on 119.3. All Nippon 371. Contact Tokyo Control on 134.15.
So Peter in the live stream is asking, is Say Intentions worth it? Absolutely. It's completely transformative to the simulator. It extends it in so many ways. So first of all, it takes over the aircraft injection, and certainly for America at the moment, I'm not sure if they're doing the rest of the world yet, they've got GA aircraft injection as well. So as well as all the commercial traffic, you've got lots and lots of light aircraft flying around, and if you tune into the same frequency system, you can hear them. And by the same token in this, we can hear of the aeroplanes that are in the air around us, and if we go and look on LittleNavMap, because it can visualize that for us, we can see there's some commercial traffic around us, 16,000 feet, there's another one here, 14,000 feet. So if we're tuned into the same frequencies, we'll hear their interactions with the tower, the same controllers that we're talking to. So if we are flying into a busy airport, for example, on an IFR route, then we would be scheduled in with them, you know, and separation would be organized with them. So yeah, not only does it do the multi-ethnicity, multicultural air traffic control, which I think is amazing, so you get all the different regional accents as you're flying around. But it also does the aircraft injection, but there's more than that coming from it as well. It does all kinds of tricks. So if you've got other friends that are also using Say Intentions, you can see those where it takes over the multiplayer, obviously. So you'll see them in the air, and you'll hear them on the radio. You know, as a proper, like a crackly radio signal, hear them talking. If they're on the same frequency, obviously. But yeah, Say Intentions is just knocking it out of the park at the moment. They are adding so many extra strings to their bow. The other thing it can do, not only can we do air traffic controllers, Say Intentions can also provide cabin crew, a mentor in the cockpit with you, a co-pilot. So if you're flying an IFR route, you can hand off jobs to the co-pilot, so you can run through checklists with the co-pilot. You can, they'll read it out, for example, and you do the thing and say check or whatever back to them, a positive affirmation, and they'll read the next thing on the checklist and so on and so forth. It's great fun. So just if you're flying around VFR like we are today, we could go into Say Intentions, go into the intercom. So at the moment we've got a co-pilot, which probably isn't worth having because we're on a VFR flight. So we'll go and swap the co-pilot out for a mentor, and we'll choose Chance from Real Sim Gear as our mentor. And then on the second channel we'll go with a tour guide, and we'll choose Sarah. Okay. Actually, we could pretend we've got passengers. Instead of having a mentor, we'll go with cabin crew, and we'll pick... who should we pick? I'm trying to think. It was Caroline from England. She'll do. So we can now talk to her on the radio, on the intercom. Hi Caroline, how are the passengers doing?
Oh, hi Captain Jonathan. The passengers seem to be doing well. They're settling in nicely and, hey, looking forward to the flight. Everything's under control.
There we go. Can we have some coffee in the flight deck, please?
Of course, Captain. I'll bring some coffee to the flight deck right away.
Of course, we can also talk to the tour guide and say, what can you tell us about this part of the country? So I'm going to come off the autopilot.
We're currently flying over the Shiga Prefecture, known for its beautiful Lake Biwa, Japan's largest freshwater lake. It's a popular spot for birdwatching and water sports. The area is rich in natural beauty and offers stunning views from above. Enjoy the scenery.
So, we want to carry on flying the route we were going, don't we? So we could obviously chase the VOR beam using the HSI down here. Just watching how much the speed might build and how much we might get thrown around by air in the valleys. So is there much wind down here?
Nippon 371. Climb flight level 3.
No, it's only 10 knots of wind tops, so we should be fairly stable.
Flight level 300, on Nippon 371.
Player radar 134.1, Firefly 6782.
All Nippon 145. Climb flight level 280.
Whoa, we had a downdraft then coming across that hill. It sank us. I had to pull quite hard on the elevators. It sank us into the valley quite strongly. It's the only danger when you're flying around hills like this. If you don't know the landscape and you don't know where the dangerous areas are for, the wind hugging the hills from given certain directions, you can get pulled into a hillside so easily. So let's pull away from the hills a little bit. Open the power up. So something we haven't done that we should have done. I'll wait until we're a little way away from the hills to do it. Is pull back the mixture. So we had richened the mixture up for takeoff, and I'd completely forgotten to go and deal with that. Now we are commercial traffic, so I'm going to leave the landing lights on, but we don't need the taxi light on because the gear is obviously retracted. Now there's a quarry. My word. Half the hillside's been quarried out, look. Okay, so we're coming in towards Nagoya. So obviously the city is to the south of the VOR, so we'll continue to this side of this hill. And maybe scoot forwards in the cockpit so we can see the scenery coming.
Japan Air 073, contact Nagoya radar on 134.1.
Contacting Nagoya radar 134.1. Good day. Nagoya radar, Japan Air 073 are with you at 2,300 feet.
Japan Air 73, Nagoya radar, good morning, ISI QNH 30.03.
Go and adjust. Yeah, our altimeter was about 20 feet out, 30 feet out. Just corrected it. So the city should be directly in front of us, or this whole area. Nagoya is huge. So if we have a look on the map, you'll be able to see that. Yeah. So it's this whole area. I guess downtown is going to be this bit just to the left, so over here. As we get closer, it will probably render in with a bit more detail. So let's pull the power back to, oh, we're already at 50%. So what sort of speed are we doing? Just over 200 knots at the moment. Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about Nagoya? Is she going to tell us? Did I press the wrong button? Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about Nagoya? Maybe she's gone for a comfort break.
Nagoya is a bustling
here we
city
go.
known for its automotive industry, being the headquarters of Toyota. It's also home to Nagoya Castle, originally built in 1612, which is famous for its golden shachihoko, mythical creatures with the head of a tiger and the body of a carp, adorning the roof. The city is a blend of modernity and tradition, with attractions like the Eski Maglev and Railway Park, showcasing Japan's cutting-edge train technology. Don't miss the Atsuta Shrine, one of Shinto's most important shrines, housing the sacred sword Kusanagi, a legendary artifact in Japanese mythology. And if you're a fan of ceramics, the Noritake Garden offers a glimpse into the history of one of Japan's most famous porcelain manufacturers. It's a city where history and innovation coexist beautifully.
Departure Fuji Dream 381 2000 for 4000.
Fuji Dream 381, radar contact.
The suburban sprawl around the city is enormous, isn't it? But look, as we get closer,
Climb 6000 Fuji Dream 381.
the built-up area is huge.
Fuji Dream 381, contact Nagoya radar on 134.1.
Over to Nagoya radar on 134.1. Fuji Dream 381. Nagoya radar, Fuji Dream 381 at 0.
Fuji Dream 381, radar contact.
Look at the shadows cast by the clouds. That's clever, isn't it? Yeah, so it doesn't have the big commercial area. It's more spread out, isn't it? I guess this is the commercial area, but they're not. The high-rise buildings are not right on top of each other like some of the other big cities. I don't think this is photogrammetry. I think this is AI. Yeah, they're all uniform shapes, aren't they? Which is why it doesn't look quite as impressive. Isn't it funny? Years ago we would have looked at this and said that looks amazing, but now we're really hypercritical and said, oh, it's AI, it's not as good as it might be. Okay, so that's Nagoya. And we're going to fly out of here on a bearing of 122 degrees out across the hills towards Shizuoka.
Korean Air 744 2000 for 4000.
So 122 degrees.
Korean
so if we
Air
go
744 radar contact, climb and maintain 11 1000.
Our heading bug is pretty good to go actually.
Climb 11 1000 Korean Air 744.
So if we fly that same heading and go heading mode, altitude hold, and then we'll have a play with, let me just center us up. So we eventually want to be catching hold of this radial 122 degrees. So you can see it's a standard HSI, isn't it? What does this do? Ooh. Oh, that's clever. So you can switch between from and to. I like that. So as soon as the CDI sweeps in, we can obviously straighten up our bearing to the same as the VOR, and we've got distance measuring equipment as well. Very cool. So we eventually want to fly towards the Shizuoka VOR. So if we go right click on that, show information for Shizuoka VOR.
61 2000 for 4000.
130 mile range, so that's easily within range of it.
61 radar contact.
11065.
5000.
So let's try it.
Climb 5000 IBEX 61.
You can see the nav instrument's just lost its signal. 565. So we should get a signal back. Or not. The hills are probably in the way, aren't they? Yeah. These hills will be stopping us play that game. So we might want to switch back for the moment. 11420, wasn't it?
Decimal 225.
So 114.
Over to Central departure on 121.225, IBEX 61.
20. And that will give us our signal back until maybe we gain a bit of altitude. We'll have a play with climbing. So you can see the CDI is slowly coming in as we come into the course. Shall we try this then, doing a localizer track and see what happens? So it's going to, hopefully, you can see the flight director's kicked in. And it's going to try and grab the localizer for us. What we'll also do
turn left heading 085.
is go to 70% power.
494 traffic at your 10 o'clock 3 miles.
And we'll turn off altitude hold and wind in a bit of climb rate so we can see that on the... If we roll this backwards...
We'll still continue to look out for it though.
We're going to climb.
Beach 494, contact tower on 126.
We've got some hills to get past anyway. So who'll be talking to you on the radio at the moment? Nagoya. Nagoya radar. Japan Air 073 requesting climb to 5,000 feet.
Japan Air 073, climb altitude 5,000 feet.
Climbing 5,000 feet, Japan Air 073. So let's go and open the engines right up and see what happens to the temperatures. I haven't really tried it yet. So look at this, the centigrade, you can see them climbing. It's going way past the green to the edge of the red. I think because this is one of the Asobo planes, they've probably had a word with Inibuilds and saying don't let people please blow the engines to bits, because we know lots of people are just going to run around on full throttle. Whereas in the real thing, you would launch the engines, and that's why you've got the fire control. You've just cleared us to 5,000. Nagoya radar, you just cleared us to 5,000 feet. Japan Air 073. How much fuel do we have? I have no idea. Where do we find out the fuel levels? That's a really good question, and it's good that you asked. Where do we see it? Here we go. Half tank. Oh no, that's the richness. That's not the fuel levels. So there's volts, AC. That's a very, very good question. So we've got fuel flow, RPM, pressures, temperatures, oil temperatures. I'm guessing that's cylinder head. Oh, not cylinders. Yeah, cylinder heads, yeah. Oh no, it's turboprop, isn't it? So where have they hidden the fuel gauge? It doesn't have one, you have to guess. Oh, here we go. It's down here, look. It was in front of us all along. So we've got
Piper, 7 Charlie Papa, turn right,
about 2,700 pounds of fuel, and we are burning it at a rate
115 Piper 7 Charlie Papa
of 150, oh no, 1,500 an hour in this climb. So we've got a couple of hours worth of fuel, and we've gone up above our target altitude. Let's go and wind that back down. Bring it back down to 5,000 after having the argument with ATC. So the idea is we bring it back down to, let's pull the engines back to 70%. I mean, we could lean the engines out as well by playing with the fuel rate control there. So coming back down, 5,400. And we'll just hit the altitude hold when we get to 5,000 feet. Now, is it just me, or is that starting to lean? Maybe it's fighting a crosswind to hit the, should have a look. And it is indeed, look, we have a 20 knot crosswind. So it's side slipping. And we've gone beyond the 5,000 feet while we were distracted. That was rather clever of me, wasn't it? So let's pull it back up. So we're watching the needle, ready to hit altitude hold. This is the old way, before we had altitude pre-selectors that would inform us. There we go. So now we're flying along nice and steady, we can have a look outside again.
RYU-23 Nagoya radar, roger, in a QNH 1018.
QNH 1018, RYU 123.
Nagoya radar, India, Charlie Bravo Foxtrot, leaving November Alpha Kilo Tango uniform, bound Oscar Golf India Sierra Oscar.
You can see that bug again, look, if we go outside and come back in, it takes a second or two for the... There's obviously some sort of optimization happening there. So yeah, the fuel trim, I'm not entirely sure because there's not a great deal of documentation. But it does say in the checklists to increase it to maximum for takeoff. And then obviously you can back it back away during flight to save some fuel, I'm guessing. But which makes no sense really, it's a turboprop. So you're pouring, when you pour fuel into a gas turbine, I guess what they're talking about is really either starving or flooding the gas turbine on purpose to get extra power out of it. But basically a gas turbine is going to burn whatever you throw at it. And that causes obviously the turbine to go at a given speed, which causes the turboprop, the propeller, to be driven at a given speed. I think cruise speed is about 245 knots, I read earlier. So if you obviously take it up to about 15,000 feet, you could get it to do 250 knots without too much trouble. Or thereabouts, anyway. Okay, so you can see the autopilot is tracking 122 degrees for us. It's nailed it, look. Right on the line. And we're going in towards Shizuoka, so if we go and switch over to 11065, we'll have to play the old game here of going over to heading mode, otherwise the airplane could lose its mind. Well, it won't, but you'll get unintended consequences if you don't do this. So now we'll go and change the frequency to 11065. And we've picked up the VOR. So then obviously you could go and switch back to a localizer. And it's going to move around a little bit, but not much. So we're now tracking straight in towards this VOR instead of from that one. And that was a Vortec, actually. So this is a standard VOR. And it will be counting down the numbers here, look, 20 miles to run. Until we hit the VOR. Or that's the plan anyway. $19 miles to run. And watch the landscape whiz by. Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about these mountains? Look in the distance. Can you see it? We're going to be turning that way soon.
We're flying near the southern part of the Japanese Alps, specifically the Akaishi Mountains, also known as the Southern Alps. These mountains are famous for their rugged terrain and are a popular destination for hikers and nature lovers. Mount Kita, the second highest peak in Japan, is part of this range. The area is also known for its beautiful alpine flora and fauna. It's a great spot for those who enjoy outdoor adventures and breathtaking views from above.
Let's see if she understands. Hi Sarah, is that Mount Fuji we can see in the distance?
That is Mount Fuji you can see in the distance. It's Japan's tallest peak and an iconic symbol of the country. On a clear day, its symmetrical cone is visible from many miles away. It's a popular subject in art and photography, and many people enjoy climbing it during the summer months.
Okay, so turn head tracking back on, flying in towards Shizuoka, and then we're going to fly out towards Mount Fuji soon. So let's drop back down to 2,000 feet. Back to, we don't have to announce it. Because we're not IFR, we just got flight following going on.
Radar, Japan Airlines.
So altitude hold off.
Flight level 080.
Roll forward on the pitch control. You can see the pitches coming down.
Airline 30. Descent flight level 080.
Descend and maintain flight level 080. Japan Airlines 30. Thank you.
Fuji's enormous, isn't it? So we're just descending down as we approach Shizuoka, and then we'll fly along the coast. We'll hand fly. Just taking this opportunity to relax before we get there. So we're down to 4,500 feet and descending. You can see the airfield down there, which is, let's have a look, Shizuoka Airfield. That's where we turn left and fly straight towards Mount Fuji. So that is our visual reference point, the enormous mountain in the distance, 40 miles away. So that's how far away it is. So you can see it there, look, poking through the clouds. Mount Fuji. So we'll fly along the coast and then cut straight for it. Climb as we go. Maybe circle the caldera at the top if we get things right. So this is Shizuoka, just coming up. So off the autopilot. You see the flight director has jumped out of the way.
Japan Air 073, contact Tokyo info on 127.15.
Contacting Tokyo info 127.15, Japan Air 073, good day. Tokyo info, Japan Air 073 with you at 2,000 feet.
Japan Air 73, Tokyo info. Good morning, Makinohara. Shimada QNH 30.00.
Actually, we were at 3,000 feet, not 2,000, but they didn't seem to mind. The level of detail is just astounding, isn't it? So I didn't really have a proper look earlier at what we can do in the tablet. So it does have maps. Got a moving map. And you can show, obviously I'm showing Navigraph maps in it at the moment, but it has got a basic flight sim map as well available to you. So should we zoom out a bit? So that's where we're going. Let's descend down and see if the houses are... See, the lights are coming on as soon as you underdrive the engines. They don't like it. So what are those warnings actually for? Doesn't say very clearly on them. So this looks like AI houses, but I think when we get closer to Tokyo, they'll start to become photogrammetry. How are we doing for fuel? It's over on the right, wasn't it? We got loads. So we want to be flying a track away from the Shizuoka VOR of 46 degrees, which is not what we're doing. So let's go and change this. There we go. So this tells us we are off to the right of that track. So if we go and give ourselves a bit of an intercept angle, we'll pull the CDI back towards the middle. Just to show you that this can be swapped out, what we'll do is go into options in the tablet. And we've now got the TDS 650 up there. Obviously it hasn't got a flight plan, so it's not really helping us very much at the moment. Should we go and quickly program something into it? So if we say we're going from SZE, so let's go quickly in here. Flight plan. Kobe to SZE. We'll forget the rest of the route. And then we've got a custom waypoint there though, haven't we? Are there any waypoints on Mount Fuji? Bivet will do. And then on to HME. Which is Haneda. And that's the end of our route actually. So what we've actually done here is said go there. And then if we go and bring this back to the map, you can now see that on the map. We start getting tours warnings. Gives us some modern technology to see where we're going. Okay, this thing should be good up to about 15,000, 17,000 feet, something like that. So we're going to fly up the side of the mountain. Go and have a look at Mount Fuji. Be good just to get clear of the clouds, wouldn't it? There we go, I think get past this next little bit of cloud and we should get a clear view of it. And then we'll just circle the mountain and climb as we go. In fact, it would make more sense to circle left, wouldn't it? Because I'm sat this side of the aeroplane. If I just scoot forward in my seat a little bit. Excuse me. Okay, we get a clear view at last. Ladies and gentlemen, Mount Fuji. So there is an outcrop, isn't there, on one side? You can see it very clearly. And obviously you can see it on the map now. Coming up through 7,000 feet. wonder where the walking routes go. I bet when you get close enough you can see the footpaths. Yeah, you can see one here, look. Just scratched across the surface. So obviously the road goes this far, but then you get footpaths the rest of the way. They're going to snake up the side of the cone. So keep an eye on the airspeed, down to 180 knots. Climbing as we go. So yeah, there's actually buildings, look. And there's some of those footpaths I was talking about, look, snaking their way up the side. Some of them are longer legs, some of them are shorter legs.
Dear guests, we have just climbed above the safe altitude. The lavatories are now available and cabin service will begin shortly. You may now use your electronic device.
We've just triggered the cabin crew. That's funny.
Thank you for your attention.
And there's the caldera. Yeah, that's a lot more detailed than it was before. There we go. We're at some serious altitude now, aren't we, Luke? Okay, done what we came here for. I'm going to fly off towards Tokyo now. So if we go via the coast route, we can go past Yokohama on the way, which is always quite entertaining. So let's get the heading bug. And then go for heading hold. So if you remember, we can control the descent rate. So we haven't gone altitude hold. So the knob here will control it. We'll let the aeroplane come down at about 1,000 feet a minute or so. That's a very, very busy display, isn't it? It's because it's showing us so much, look. So it wants us over there, but we're going the coast route. That's ridiculous, isn't it? It looks like a photograph. Okay, do we have what's the range on the beacon out here? 11220. So if we go 11220, and it's woken up. So this will tell us the exact direction to go there. So we want to be going to 78 degrees, and you can see the marker there for it, which is quite handy. So we just move the heading bug to match the VOR beacon, and there's the flight director kicking in. And 37 miles to run. We're descending, we're at 12,500 feet at the moment and descending back down. We could put the landing lights away while we're above 10,000 feet, couldn't we? Got another message. Airspace alerts. Yes, we know. We will have flight following though, so they should hand us through automatically. How do you set up the HPC levers? I don't. I control them with the mouse. So I've got the throttles mapped to my throttles on my Airbus quadrant, and then I just use the mouse for those, because you don't need to fiddle with them while they're in the air anyway. So if we look at this and zoom out, you should see we're heading towards the end of it. There it is, look, and we're heading straight for it. We come over here and look at this a bit more closely. It's figuring it all out for us, look. 31 miles to run. We could get estimated time en route if we really wanted to as well, but I'm going to leave it alone. So while this is busy descending at 1,000 feet a minute, that gives me 5 minutes at least to go make a coffee, which I'm going to go and do. I'll leave it this side. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I have coffee. Let's see how long it takes this to reload the cockpit then, because there seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. And there it is, look. So, we're down to 6,000 feet and descending. Okay, I'm going to take over control. So, autopilot is off. All the buttons are up. Let's put the head tracking on. Cut the throttles back. Oh, look at that. That's a good alarm. That's what happens if you pull the power all the way back. So what? I'm just going to go and check this. I couldn't quite get there with the head tracking. Landing gear goes to neutral, so it's similar to a Boeing. So notice we got the warnings are showing up until we give it enough power, and then the warnings go away. So we're descending in towards Yokohama. This is Kawasaki in front of us. Yokohama is over here. Should we go and circle round? It'd be a shame not to go and have a look while we're here. Let's go and... whoops, wrong key. There we go. Once we get into downtown Tokyo, I'll advance time to bring us into the evening. At the moment we're in the morning. So this is downtown Yokohama. Yeah, you can see the difference though with photogrammetry. It looks so much better. Now there's a building to try and land a helicopter on top of. Okay, over towards Kawasaki. So the question from Mr. Drone Pilot, who keeps asking the same question, is about what you might map these levers to. They're going to be the propeller control levers. Actually, no, they're going to be the that'll be the propeller control probably. That would be the fuel control levers or whatever they are called in the simulator, you know, in the setup menus. But again, it's down to the developer and what they've mapped them to. But this is fuel control levers, so this is you allowing fuel into the gas turbines. This is the program for the FADEC throttle system, really, between ground and flight mode, which is the propeller program, essentially. So most turboprops have got fancy electronic propeller control. Because most of them maintain a consistent RPM of the propeller, or single speed. So we'll fly around Tokyo in the daytime, and then we'll advance time into the evening, so you get to see it by night, because it's absolutely stunning at night. But I want to get to see it both ways. It's actually stuttering a little bit. I haven't seen the sim do that before. What's causing the stuttering? Is it the GTN? It's stopped it now, isn't it? It's behaving now. Maybe it was to do with streaming data. It started stuttering again, look. I think it's data loading. What I might do, just to ward off the problem, is go back to classic. We don't need a fancy guidance machine. I think it may have been that was causing it, Getting stick shaker warnings. You're obviously not supposed to throw this aeroplane around like this. Okay, let's have a play with the time of day. There's the sun going down. It's over there, isn't it? Let's try the golden hour first. And then we'll advance time on a bit further. We need our lights on, don't we? We also need the lights on in the cockpit. They are some strong lights, aren't they? Okay, let's take it darker. Should we go and turn the there we go. Turn the dome light off. Okay, let's lift the light back up. Have to decide where we're going to go and land, I guess. So we're just flying around downtown Tokyo. Shimafusa Aero maybe, or we could fly back over to Tachikawa or Chofu. Tachikawa is probably better. Okay, that's our destination then. Let's pull the information up. Tachikawa tower is 118850. We just need to fly out west. Oh, we need to terminate flight following first. We're on Tokyo Info, aren't we? Yeah. Tokyo Info, Japan Air 073 terminating flight following. Okay, what's going on with that then? One 2715 it should have been. Tokyo Info, Japan Air 073 terminating flight following.
29.88.
So we wanted to tune in Tachikawa, didn't we? 118850. Actually, which one? Oh, that's an airbase. I was just looking to see if we had ever play with if we could ever play with ILS, but this is fine. Tachikawa 118850. We can probably see it. We're visual anyway.
Japan Air 73, Tokyo info. Contact Tokyo Tower on 118.1.
Negative. Terminating flight following Japan Air 073.
Japan Air 073, flight following terminated. Squawk VFR.
Squawk VFR, Japan Air 073. So what we need to do then is jump across here, let the airplane fly itself for a moment, hopefully. Where was it? ATC, there we go. We want 7,000, don't we? And we didn't hit the deck. And we'll then go to the control tower frequency for Tachikawa, 118850. So we'll have to tune it by hand. What is going on with this? Should have gone the other way around the circle, shouldn't I? They're going to be wanting me on runway 19, aren't they? Tachikawa Tower, Japan Air 073 requesting full stop landing.
Japan Bel Air 073, winds calm, runway 19er, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 19er, Japan Air 073. So we'll just do a roundabout. We should see them off of our, well, they're this side of the cockpit, but we can't quite see them at the moment. So we're wanting to fly reciprocal. So there's 180 coming up on the compass. There's 190. And there's the airfield. Let's get the speed under control. First stage of flaps to get some drag, and speed's coming off now, which is good. Down to 150 and decelerating, descending turn. About 130 knots. extending flaps further, bringing the power back up to match the drag. It's not the longest runway in the world, is it? Time for me to earn my crust as a pilot, I guess. That's full flaps. Shall we have a look at it from outside? Slammed it in a bit, but I was worried about floating, so we survived.
Japan Air 073, welcome to Tachikawa. Taxi to parking at your discretion, monitor this frequency.
Taxiing to parking at our discretion, Japan Air 073, thank you. Obviously this isn't a high fidelity airport, it's just one of the AI airports.
Taxi to parking at your discretion, monitor this frequency.
Okay, let's see about switching the engines off. It should just be a case of starving them, shouldn't it? So let's see if there's an animation. So it does have a prop brake as well, but they stopped really quickly, didn't they, actually? I wonder if the prop brake is to do with hotel mode, maybe. You know, so you can run the gas turbine up and not have the propeller spin. Possibly. Okay, so let's go turn some stuff off, shall we? So the inverters, or the alternators can come off, inverters can come off. The pitot heater can come off. That's all looking fine. The radio power can come off. That's all fine. So it's just the batteries really, isn't it? As soon as we turn the batteries off, everything's going to go. Oh, we didn't turn the generators off. Forgot that. There we go. So we do get some controls in here to do things like opening the doors. So if we can have a look around, you'll see that it's all nicely animated. And if we ask for the stairs as well. Famous last words. Oh, there it goes. It was just thinking about it. Very cool. Oh, it's done its usual trick, look. So it sits outside for a while, and for some reason, I think it's being overly aggressive with optimizing RAM, maybe. We can put some of the covers back on if we wish. Baggage door. So where's the door for the baggage then? Oh, there we go. Fuel truck, baggage cart, and the ground power unit. Very cool. So there you go. That's the NAMC or Niho Aircraft Manufacturing Company YS-11, the latest local legend in Flight Simulator 2024. Today we flew from Kobe up the coast towards Tokyo and did a bit of navigating along the way with VOR to VOR, but mostly it was just, you know, VFR at low level, doing some sightseeing along the way. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So in the notes of the video you will find a link to download the procedure that I have written up to start the aircraft. I will, after I've finished recording this, I will go and pin a comment to the top of the comments with a link to that procedure as well. So it just walks you through the cockpit with doing everything you need to do to start the aeroplane up. Look, it's done it again, look. So I think it's fantastic. Obviously there's a little glitch there with the with it powering up things or not, as the case may be. With it rendering things, I should say. But yeah, other than that, it's fantastic fun. And it's quite simple to fly. It's not as difficult by any means as the PMDG DC-6. So it's a very good stepping stone if you're just looking at this sort of aeroplane and you're thinking, I want to have a crack at something like that. This is much, much easier to fly than the DC-6 or the Constellation made by, is it Red Wing, which was also a handful. This is much more straightforward than they were. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.